Auntie, I'm going to put it live on Facebook now.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll tell you when it starts. And
Yeah.
start.
Happy evening to all and welcome to the 4th edition of Reflections, Making of the Artist. Art Cube Gallery, with an intention to engage in as many conversations as possible, has started Reflections. The talk show it aims at bringing out the journey of the artist and also all other allied factors that make the artist reach the community. Their art as storytelling, their art for addressing social causes, and even sometimes their art for just art's sake. We all know the challenge that lies in this outreach and eventually the conversion in the market. So by these conversations, we hope to make the viewer a more informed individual and understand art from the artist's perspective than merely look at it as just a decorative piece that will adorn their walls, either in homes or commercial and corporate properties. Today's episode on making of the artist, we have none other than Tejo. Tejo is a retired professor from uh, JBAC, as it's called now. I know it as SIET Women's College. She did her master's in fine arts from Stella Maris. She took to teaching and became head of the department of JBAS College in Chennai, held more than 100 shows, both group and individual, and won many awards, including the prestigious International Award for Contemporary Paintings in France in 2006. She says she is a figurative painter. She has established herself as that for today. She is recognized as a figurative artist. She says the imagery is all important as they range from stoic, solid male forms to swaying, suggestive female ones, and how they blend and bond with twists and turns. We can see it all in her works. And as I'm going to talk to her, she's going to screen share some of her works. They blend, and there is so much of brightness in her works, and sometimes to the point of being shown like a jewel with all her gold in the paintings and so on. I would like to start off, Teju, welcome to our 4th episode. Very, very happy to have you here with us. We have our guru in art, your guru in art, A.V. Ilango with us. Welcome, sir. We are very, very happy to have you from Kuala Lumpur at a time as late as 9:45 for you. Welcome. Thank you for being with us. And I would like to start off, Teju, by asking the present style and the genre like you are associated with as a figurative artist. How do you connect to your present works, and where are they rooted, and how have you evolved to this? I mean, it's many questions, but I just want you to start off with saying about your present trend and where you have arrived with your artworks.
Hi, and thank you very much from ArtCube for having called me, invited me. I have participated in some of your exhibitions, and I know how well you conduct everything, Daksha, sir, as well as Priya. Thank you very much for inviting me today. Your question as to where I have reached, is that what you're trying to say? Actually, you know, Daksha and everybody, I haven't really thought about it. I haven't even, you know, related myself to the fact whether I've reached anywhere. But I know that it is a long journey which I've taken over the years, right from, I think, 1992 when I ventured into it till date. And if you ask me whether I had a direction, I wouldn't know to say whether I did have a direction, but I can only say that the works which I have done are close to my heart, and I've also continued to do what really struck me and what came to me naturally. That I'm sure all the artists, I mean, I didn't really struggle to get where I am, in the sense that it wasn't a huge struggle. There were certain struggles too, but it was always, till you reach a comfort zone, there is always a struggle for any artist. So I would say, like most artists, experimenting, seeing whether it is successful for us, in my eyes, more than anybody else. And of course, at the end of the day, if it sells, that is also an added impetus. But by and large, I didn't create an identity for myself for a very long time. It was a long journey. Today, I can say I'm confident enough to say that I enjoy what I'm doing, with little and very little, maybe misgivings here and there if a work of art doesn't come out. But I have the ability to break it down or change it and bring out something which is to my satisfaction. So that is how I work today.
So you are saying that it's not very uncommon that artists have their self-doubts, they have
Yes.
their own searching.
Yes.
They need to go back to find out, what is it, because every artist is anxious to know what is the style that eventually they would want to work towards. I think it's not something what you look forward to, but looking at hindsight, you kind of connect the dots. Like for you,
Correct.
in your case, for example, did you foresee yourself as an artist? Say when you joined Stella Maris College, would you,
No.
a little about your college days? Yeah.
Okay, it was 1980. I remember, Daksh, when we were all just finished our schooling and when we joined, everything was, you could say, by accident for me, because I wanted to do literature, and fine arts was my second choice. I knew I could draw, but I've always loved to write and loved to read a lot. So when I went in for my entrance exam, they made me do both the exams, and finally they decided that I was better off in fine arts. So that's how I landed up in fine, to be honest.
So they decided your fate.
Yeah, they decided my fate. Also because I think I come from Rosary, the sister school of Stella Maris, and many of the nuns have seen me there perform on stage also, specifically my fine arts nuns. And somehow they came to, and because I lived in Santham, they were familiar with me, and they said they'll take me into this. So initially I was a little disappointed that I didn't get into literature, because I considered myself to be very good in writing and and also in spoken English. But once I joined, I think that was it. I mean, how it was in fine arts in Stella.
So that's
It
something,
was,
and that's something I wanted to touch upon, Teju. I mean,
yeah,
most people who joined Stella Maris who wanted to become an artist was one set of people, but to study about the theory of art was another set of people. And in your case, you have come out with flying colors with both, because you went on to teach art. Would you like to say something about your masters and how your education in Stella Maris did shape you up to be more prepared to be a professor in JBA's college?
okay. So after my undergrad, I still wasn't sure about what my direction was. I only knew that if I stayed at home, I'll be married off. So I decided, okay, let me study a little further. Fortunately for me, my mom also agreed, and but with a warning: the minute a boy comes, you'll have to drop everything and get married. And fate is different, and I mean, whatever was ordained for me was very different. And by then, by the end of second year, my father had passed away. So my mom's only concern was I had to get married. So when I finished my MA, I just told her, okay, let me go teach in some school. And teaching and working was something which was not unheard of in my family, women working. So what happened was, my brother told me, yeah, you can work, but again, as soon as you find a boy, you have to get married. So I said, okay, fine. And then I went on to teach in a school, actually, to teach art for children in Adarsh, because I did my +2 there. The auntie there decided that I had to come back there and teach. So I taught some English and I taught this, and just for a few months. And eventually I got married. Once I got married, it so happened a friend of mine had this job, and she left the job and she had to get a replacement, and she literally begged me and told me, please take this job. And I said, oh, college and teaching in a college? No way, I thought. I mean, imagine me, I was as playful, Daksh, you know me, no? As playful, and imagine teaching in a college. Then I got into it, and that's how, as I said, everything fell into my lap. I even had a cousin sister who said, I'm looking for jobs everywhere, and you seem to be, people are calling you to give you jobs. And I know how you do it, she said, you know. So anyway, that's how happened. That's what happened to me.
That's wonderful to know, Tejo, because not many people, even if, they don't rest the opportunity. You seem to have rested at every point, like from what you said.
I know. I think we come from a generation, Daksh, where it was much more easier for us to make our decisions, because we had only 2 or 3 decisions to make.
Yeah.
There were multiple, things for us to choose one, options to choose one. So, I mean, it would have been nice if I had got into an advertising agency. I did go for interviews for that also, because that was the most glamorous part of being an artist.
So what did you teach in JBA?
At JBAs, I was taken in as a fine arts teacher only, because they had brought in the subject for an interior design course.
Mm-hmm.
So how did I get into art was another story. And for my college purposes, though I was a PG, I was supposed to study further, either a PhD or an MPhil. I decided to do my MPhil again in Stella Maris. And that's how, I did my thesis on Cholamandal Artist Village. I used to travel to visit them, watch them work, watch them paint, etc. And something really struck me, that if I had to teach, I had to paint. I had to be a practicing artist. Otherwise, how do I teach my students? What kind of an example would I set? So that's when I decided that who do I look at? And again, it fell into my lap. Mr. Lango was my mom's neighbor, a good family friend. And my brother told me, why don't you just go to him for a few months and then, know what is happening. And that's how I got into knowing Sir and getting into it. So I remember I should tell you this, I remember my first ever painting with him. I didn't do what he wanted me to do. I had already finished MA. I knew I thought I was a cat's whiskers, and I knew what to do. So I never used a brush. I took some cotton and, remember creative painting in our PG? We could do whatever we wanted. Yes. So I did that. And there was a very disgusted look on his face, which I'll never forget, because he thought I'm straight away getting into creative work, I don't think he remembers that. But I did see a lot of others in his class going through the rigors of, painting with palette knife, etc.
Tejo, here I would like to ask Sir about his perception when you joined as a new student, how he looked at you. Sir, you knew Tejo's family, you said even earlier, and Chandra.
Brother's family, brother's wife and kid and all very well, because we all lived in the same street. And of course, Tejo's mother I knew very well. So before I knew Tejo, and when she joined, she was quite hesitant. She was like, she was not sure of, I don't know why she was not entering the class, or we used to go out for, generally when we were quite a little younger those days, and my wife was there.
Younger, sir.
We went on a trip to Tiger Caves and all. Tejo had come then, and then he will be walking around. She won't come and talk to us. She was gauging me, I think, she can join me or not. That type of, I don't know what it was. I never asked her even till today. But once she started painting and drawing, I realized she's quite a restless person. To be a creative person, you should be restless. There's nothing wrong in being restless. Okay. And then when you are restless, only you can create. If you are, and then a person has to be not satisfied with many things in life. So I found all
this is from a mentor's point of view. Yes, sir. This
So,
is what I wanted to listen, that from a mentor's point of view, how you viewed
so
Teju.
she
Yes.
was an ideal student for me in the sense, see, as far as I am concerned, I am not, I never trained her per se in the way that others say. We are for an artist, art student, and a mentor or a guide. For the guide, the student, the distance should be proper. That is, you cannot go very close, you cannot be very far. So it is like that. If you are at the
The
right
right
distance,
balance.
yeah, then there is a magic that will happen. But that will happen only when it happens. When we want, it won't happen. It will happen by itself. It is like
Very philosophical.
see, when you plant it, rose plant and all, we grow, and we want roses to bloom there, but we don't open the buds, right? We just keep on tending to the plant and pouring water, and all the whatever is necessary, we keep doing. So it blossoms when the time comes. That's how it is. If you
So
hurry,
philosophical.
open the petal, it will not be good. So that I think
Well
Tejo
said.
realized this. Tejo realized that quite some time.
That's wonderful to hear from your point of view, sir, because she's had quite a journey. And after all these years of learning from you, I think she still keeps in touch and still continues to learn. And I would like to ask you, Teju, you were a professor, you were balancing your own creative space of painting, taking time off, and uh, I know as a friend for 35 years how devoted you are to your family. How do you balance your family, your college? You did justice according to the way we see it. How did you take it up and balance it, Tejo?
I think I didn't think too much. I didn't put too much effort in thinking too much and worrying about it. Work was something which kept me going. It gave me all what I needed to do my, continue with my passion. I learned a lot from my students too. When you teach, you always learn. And that's how I feel. It was always a give and take policy. Wherever you go, you learn a lot. Family is something you can't escape. So, if in these three, I think the family and the work part of it had to be given the top priority. And balancing an artistic career, it was slow, but it was steady. I didn't forge ahead with it with great, leaving anything else behind. I had to know which had to take up the priority.
But you consistently had your exhibitions.
Yeah.
Whether it was shows here in Chennai or outside Chennai, you've exhibited in Jahangir Art Gallery. Could you tell us about these opportunities that either came your way or the way you went searching? Because this will be useful to young artists as to how to, because even being a dedicated artist, it's a challenge. But here you were balancing family and work, and yet you never slowed down. So could you tell us about all your shows? Yeah.
I think initial part of my artistic career, I started working with a group of artists, which Mr. Lango had put together, and we started exhibiting. And one thing about any mentor is they have to put us out into the open and get that, we need to receive the criticism, and that's what works for us wonderfully. Now, I'm not a businesswoman, so I never ever thought that my artwork had to sell immediately, but I did move around with people who had the sense of, if you put a work of art onto the wall, it has to get sold. So for me, I had a lot of challenges where that was concerned, because I knew that I could never speak about my work to anybody. They have to look at my work, and if they like it, they have to pick it up. That was till date, I have that in me. If they like it, of course, I'll pursue and I'll see to it that they pick it up. And if they want to, they keep calling me and telling me they like my work, Of course, I'll tell them that, you can come and see it in my studio, etc. But those days it wasn't like that. So I said, I would have thought that it's not that I was diffident with my work. I was also thinking, what is it that I'm doing right now that I was not selling? And I soon realized when I went on to the next phase, what I did in my first phase, the previous one got sold. So it was like every step, and I went, the earlier ones were getting sold. So that kind of encouraged me to think that, okay, there is a time and a place for everything to happen. And that's how it did happen too.
Do you want to tell us a little about your show in Jahangir Art Gallery?
Yeah, it was my first exposure out of South India. I had done a couple of Delhi small shows, etc., but nothing which is as an independent artist. And I had no clue about what I was exposing myself to. Everybody was saying who and how about Jahangir. But luckily for me, I'm ignorant about many things about such matters, because I think I have a horse vision and I just want to see ahead. And I don't want to get distracted with the 100 and other messages which come to me. Surprisingly for me, what was very interesting was in Jahangir, there are enough and more footfalls from different parts of the country. And I had comments coming from people who came in busloads who couldn't even speak English. They were all Hindi speaking. They would interpret my painting. So I realized that there are people who are moving around and watching arts of work. So that was a real eye-opener for me. And another eye-opener was, very sweetly, some of the senior artists who were in the neighboring galleries would come and tell me which work was good, which wasn't, where I had made a mistake. Please don't paint like. So it was nice to know, to get connected with other artists and get their opinion. Luckily for me, I don't have much of an ego. So I was able to accept my mistakes. And I think I still can do that.
So you think that exposure led you on to other shows? You were looking forward. You had shows in Kuala Lumpur. You had shows in Paris. Would you like to?
See, we have to make an effort because of work and my commitment to work and family. I wasn't able to do many solo shows because for solo shows, you need to commit yourself to 3-4 months of concentrated work. But I wasn't able to. But eventually, I was thinking like, okay, it's time. When I got an opportunity to go to other galleries out of the country, I went ahead. And it's also the matter of finance. You need to have that much of money to go out of a country and expose yourself. Because being a South Indian artist, it's not easy for in the national, in this national scenario, to be picked up and then, exposed like that. And many South Indian artists who are much better than me are going through that. So in a way, I would say the work has to speak for itself. Had I not been working, maybe I would have worked more. Maybe I would have reached where, my success is much earlier. But I have no regrets where that is concerned.
So I think this is just success deferred and delayed. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's success still, but I'm just happy to do what I'm doing.
I think not gauging by the commercial success, even the visibility, even getting the image to be identified as an artist. And now you say that there is a big divide between the South Indian artists and the North Indian artists. Do you think it still continues? Do you think certain things can be done? Will these conversations help? So do you have any ideas by which, I know this will not happen in a day, it is a change that needs to be brought about. Do you think it has to do with presentations, or what is your take on how South Indian artists can reach to the North Indian?
See, in the global market, in every aspect of life itself, I mean, in our country itself, there is a certain amount of behavioral difference between us and people from the other parts of the northerns. We are a little more reticent about many things about pushing ourselves, if you could say. Maybe that's where we are lacking, where we don't want to push ourselves forward and move ahead and say, okay, I am as good as anybody, But we just wait. We wait for something to fall into our laps. And I don't know how long. I mean, there are some younger artists who are smarter and they know how to do it. And now with the social media and other like forums like this, people are able to understand. So I would say it's a two-way thing. It's also the way we present ourselves, and it's also the misconceptions one has about what South Indian art is like. So these are the two factors I feel which could be hindering our progress.
So do you think artists have a responsibility, like supposing you're creating, right? So it could come from angst, it could come from joy, it could come from many, many moods of the artists, their experiences, their exposure to this world. Now, do you, are you for art for just art's sake and we leave it at that? Or do you think artists have a responsibility to bring about social changes, social behavior? I would just like to ask your opinion on this.
See, I don't know how many lay people really like contemporary art. And most often it is like, I don't understand. Can you explain? So I may have what do you call it, an internal bell in order to say, okay, there's something happening and let me just expose that particular part of what I feel. But how do I communicate with the person who wants to see it? We can look at a work of art and say, okay, you understand what you understand out of it. How do I convey that? So if you're talking about responsibility, our responsibility is to have, I wouldn't say safe, but I would say works of art which does not antagonize people. It does not insult anybody's sentiments, and which I feel it should bring more joy to a person, to an observer.
Okay.
That, as
Because,
you said, yeah,
yes,
tell me.
history has been recorded through art first. If you
Yes.
start with the Stone Age or the Paleolithic age or the Egyptian art, it's all through the cave paintings and the hieroglyphics. So art has been used as a major storytelling way of people to understand about history much later, be it our temples, even our temple. So there is a storytelling that happens in art. So do you think artists feel compelled to tell these stories, or they just go about painting, bringing out maybe sometimes their roots to depict from where they are coming from, to project their culture, or they just do it because it's a abstract mind and they come out with anything that goes on, either color, form, texture, line. So they just use all these to bring about a picture. So what I would like to ask you is, your paintings particularly, if you have some of them, you can screen share. It looks like it's deep rooted from Kerala. Some of the cultures, I've seen your Kathakali dancers and even the temple arts you bring out. So if you think you have something that you can share so that the viewers can have a feel of your painting right now, though we have seen a lot of your works.
Okay. See, when you spoke about figurative work and you spoke about how I am, working with figures, forms, I always started off with a lot of watercolors. Then I went on to do a lot of influences which I had with the Kerala art forms, especially the dance forms, because I was a dancer and I kind of identified with the rhythm and you could say the feel of a dance. For example, a Kathakali dancer or even a Theyyam dancer. I just enjoyed that. I was very clear that I'm not going to deal with 10 different colors on my canvas. So if you look at this particular canvas, you can see the simplicity of how many colors I've
almost like it's a monochromatic painting.
Monochromatic, yes, painting. But I try to bring this. This is one painting which I had done. It is very well appreciated also. But when I did it, even till date, I don't know how I got these colors in my mind. So that's what happens for an artist. It can be an idea, it can be a thought process, it could be anything. When you continue to work, when you do your work continuously, you come across certain times where you come out with one or two pieces which even beyond your comprehension.
Like we call Picasso's blue period. There is
There's
a certain phase you go through.
Correct. So like that, there are a couple of works which like, for example, this particular work which I did, it's a single figurative form which we did with a lot of research which you've done recently.
Wonderful.
So I remember I started off with this work thinking I can do only the outlines of the Kalamarithu. Kalamarithu is the Kerala art form where they do it in the temples on the floor with just a piece of white chalk which they draw. I wanted to draw just that form, but I don't know how finally I did this particular form, because it kind of just came to me. So when you say, when you're engrossed in a particular artwork, I like to put these colors, I like to put these forms. So I just put it because the thoughts, if you see the feet are all of the Kalamarithu, which is there. So that is how
The art,
and
the art leads you.
Yes, art
Yeah.
leads you, your mind leads you. And there are a number of works which I look back and I think, I don't know how I did it. You asked me to do it again. I'm literally clueless as to how it would have come across. I did know that I had to have these colors, these forms, and that is how it ended up. So these are some of my successful works which I'm showing. But I have number of works which I have piled up in my studio, which are still not shown to others. So from single figures, now I've started doing a group of figures. Okay, this is called Paper Boats of Life. Okay, and just showing women, with an umbrella and just again playing with paper boats which are there in the rain. Okay, now I've started doing a lot of forms which are more than 2 forms. I'm hoping to do a show in future which is with a lot of forms in my work. So you progress slowly because you keep on doing. If you add a third figure, then you add a fourth, then you add a fifth and a sixth figure, and then you add a number of figures in order to create what you think works for you at that time. Okay, and nothing is there is no hard and fast rule, Daksha, to say that that we have to work in this manner, that way. Whatever it is, your style has to come out in a number of different forms, in different ways, in different subject matters.
So color or texture does not matter. A certain style will be evolved as you keep working on it and do it, time after time. So it is just over the years that you will.
Yeah, it's over here. Yeah,
and also it doesn't
it doesn't cost, and sorry to interrupt, but it's also, you get opportunities in life. Like I told you about the ICF projects which we got, which allows us to explore different materials. So when you work with different materials and you build up a particular format of sculpture, whatever, and get hold of, like imagine you get into a yard which is about 2 or 3 acres of just scrap, and we are a group of us, we are picking up scrap like as if, it's gold, for a splendid. And then we come out with works of art. Nobody gives us that opportunity, to just take materials and work.
Where was this, Teju?
This was all through 2017 and 18. And we did about almost, we did 9 camps. With
the venue was?
At ICF.
The Integral Coach Factory.
Integral Coach Factory, which is a very you could say it is not a space for art because you have only locomotives over there and scrap and office buildings. But luckily for us, there was a particular general manager, Mr. Mani, who was very interested in art, and he was, being a visionary that he was, and he still is, he had already foreseen that art had to come into this and perhaps make it interesting for even the workers over there.
What a wonderful way to go forward. I think
correct.
These kind of installations here in ICF and look at making the entire city or place, wherever.
Correct. I'll just show you a couple of them for you to understand.
Yes.
I'm sorry that I have to get back to the
screen share
for this. For example, there are a few of them which I can show you. So if you notice, this one is there, then these are all done with train scrap. This is Mr. Langelian's. This is Mr. Lagos, where he did the Jallikattu.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah, so these were the few works which were there, and I'll show you some more also. Why I'm so excited about this is it's very different. You know, when you do something different, it automatically makes you create even better. You know, think differently, create differently, interact with people who are different in their approach to art, especially the other artists who are with me. So that's
And are the installations still around in ICS?
yes, still around.
Okay.
And I was given to understand there is a guy who's become the assistant manager there, who's actually Mr. Rajiv Pen, the present, the film director's younger brother at Railways, and he is taking an active interest, is what I heard. So I'm hoping that they'll maintain. It's very well maintained still, but I'm hoping that some more artists would be invited to do some more work there.
Fantastic. It's a lovely evening, Teju, listening to your journey. What are your plans now that you have quality time in your hands? I know family is still tugging at your heart now. After children, it's grandchildren.
Yeah.
Though you don't seem a day old of a grandmother.
No, it's not that. It's just that.
But what are your future plans, Teju?
I may be a grandmother, but I'm not a typical one because I spend half the day doing my work in the mornings. I do paint a lot. There are some shows coming up, which again is group. For an independent show, I have to work towards it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. And other than that, I mean, retirement has given me a lot of time to paint, and the pandemic also has given a lot of quality time to paint. Yeah, I think the pandemic 2 years were the best times, especially 2019 when we sat at home. We had enough and more time to explore. 20 was more of travel, but it was good. Now this year, hoping that something will come out of it. I actually don't go seeking, but if it comes and falls, then nothing like it.
So we can look forward to more creations from your side, leading you onto a style that you will enjoy most. It has been wonderful talking to you, Teju.
Thank you.
Flew, and I think we are now ready to take questions with the audience. We have a few artists. We have Pramila with us, and of course Priya. She also does textile installations, very interesting. We have your good friends, and you said you have your student.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not showing their faces.
They don't have to show their faces, but they can unmute themselves and ask any questions. Even your poolside friends can, without revealing themselves, if there are questions to ask, this is an opportunity. And Vinita is also here with us. I would, if there is a show of hands, or if you could just put the emoji, I can call out your name. If anybody is having a question, Pramila, do you want to ask Teju any questions on her journey?
Yeah, hi Teju. It was nice listening to your entire journey and brought back a lot of memory for me from those days when we used to all be there in the studio. And I just wanted to ask you, at what stage did you turn into the creative side? Like, I remember those days we were like into palette knife and different styles and all, and somewhere along how the creativity side, when did it turn into that?
See, since I was already from Stella Maris and we had a creative course already there, I think it was at the back of my mind that I had to do something creative. I wouldn't say that it happened immediately, but it took some time. And when we're looking for example, the first exhibition, I think it was for a creative kind of an exhibition, besides having our own watercolor exhibition, etc., was actually from Forum Gallery, where they wanted 3 artworks to be exhibited. So that was the very first time I decided, okay, let me try my hand at figurative work, because I was doing half forms of Kathakali, which was like a human form, but not a human form, like that. So I
remember that. I remember those white lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the white line across the canvas when you derive that.
That was all abstract. That was all the Kathakali forms, which is abstract.
Totally.
And I still do them sometimes because I enjoy doing it. But the thing is, when I started figurative work, I started doing just I mean, I don't have it here, but just started doing a few forms which were not complete forms, but they look like human forms. Then I started doing the full form because coming from Kerala, I also started using the munda, no, as one of the metaphors of showing the male and none of my male and female forms those days had any differentiation because I always wanted them to look like they were neither male nor female. It had to be, there were two forms. For me, they were male and female. The audience necessarily didn't have to know what it was. So later on, I started identifying it even more, became a little more decorative, more elaborate in my art forms. Like I'll show you one, which I did for my Malaysia show. So if there's time, I can.
Yes, we have another good 14 minutes to go, Tejo.
Okay, this one. So this one is actually, I liked it. I like it. It's one of my favorite where I showed two forms again. You can clearly identify with the background. I made the male form, then the female is in the different color. And I use the banana leaf as my metaphor over here. And she's also holding the fruit and he's holding the leaf. So I worked around this and I really enjoy doing this work because I cut the lines. If you notice, I've cut the line across and put it across the, which I've not done before. So every time we explore and do new ideas and forms, we have to be happy about it. And that's what I enjoyed. I enjoy in my works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope, yeah. I think your friendship goes a long way. Especially to do with.
Although I haven't met her for a long time.
I know.
Hopefully we'll meet.
We should.
Vinita is here with us, one of our artists from Kerala. And she has represented Art Cube Gallery in 2 of our art shows. Vinita, is there something that you would like to ask Tejo?
Yeah, it was very nice to see Tejo's work, very interesting works, and hope to meet you all someday.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Vinita.
Thank you, Vinita. And Afrin was trying to show some artworks. Is there some question you want to ask, Afrin? Do you want to switch on? Yes. I know you're showing your artworks, but is there any question that you have to ask Tejo to know something more about your art?
Yeah, this is my favorite ma'am, Tejo ma'am. I just love her. I'm missing her so much. You who has encouraged me a lot to do all my works, but unfortunately I didn't continue with anything rather than my degree.
Nah, never too late, Afrin. Always a time to do things.
But I didn't stop any of my works, ma'am. I'm still continuing with them. The past 10 years, I'm still. This is my last month's work.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
I don't know whether you're able to see it.
Upside down. It's upside down. Okay.
Maybe
that's like nice. This. Yeah. Where do you stay, Afrin? You're in Chennai?
Yeah, Chennai only, ma'am. I see your work that you said, no, ma'am, it's an ICF. I often cross it. I'm staying in Villivakkam only.
Okay.
I used to show my kids that this is my ma'am's work. And I'm very proud of it also, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you very much. That's really sweet of you. Yeah. Continue working, Afrin. And at any point of time, until you continue work, it's not going to, it'll keep you in touch. Okay?
Sure, ma'am.
Wonderful.
Hope you remember me, ma'am. Hope you remember me.
Afrin, yes, I do, Afrin. How are you?
Yeah, fine, ma'am. Having 3 kids now.
Good.
3 daughters. With 3 daughters now.
Lovely. I hope they all become artists.
Yeah.
All the best.
Thank you, Afrin. All the best, Afrin.
It was lovely that you brought your artworks and showed it to your ma'am. That's the best thing that she'll be so happy about.
I'm a proud student. That's why I wanted to show the work.
Thank you, Afrin. So sweet of you.
We also have another student. Sama has got a hand up. Would you like to say anything, Sama?
Yeah, good evening. How are you, ma'am?
Good, ma. How are you? Can I see your face or no?
Well, oh yeah, sure, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, I am kind of shy.
That's okay. Sama, and you shy? Come on.
I mean, it's been 2 years since you last saw me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How are
my
you?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you, ma'am?
Good, thank you.
And any questions to do with art you have, Salma?
Yes, I'm trying to figure out my art style as such, and I still haven't figured it out. So how can I push myself to figure it out? Is my question.
Figure out what? Have you been practicing?
Yes, ma'am. I have. I kind of like jumped into a lot of medias like digital art and then mixed media and acrylics, and I
No. You can try everything. You'll one day you will realize that there is one particular form which you would, one medium which you would like to work with. Are you back in India or are you still in New York?
sorry, I'm in Chennai right now.
Okay. So
I have,
you'll figure it out.
like
Okay.
I've been creating stuff, but like I haven't.
I can't hear you. Can you be a little louder?
I've been trying to create stuff, but like I haven't found that I want to work on this again. That kind of a
Okay.
style never occurred to me.
Oh, you mean you don't want to repeat a particular
Style,
work?
yeah.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong. You can continue searching where. I mean, I don't know what you want to do with your artwork, but if you think that it has to progress, if it gives you happiness and satisfaction, continue with it. I've always told you all that.
Yes, ma'am.
We also have Fatima. Is Fatima your student, Teju? Fatima Lokandwala.
Yeah. How are you, Fatima?
I'm doing well, ma'am. How are you?
You're fine. It's been a while since I saw you too.
Would you like to ask her any question with regard to the artworks, Fatima?
I have, Teja ma'am has been an inspiration, and I'm seeing her after such a long time. So I just wanted to see her face, and
Oh my God.
I just, it was just that I saw on the Instagram page, and I saw the link, and I just decided to join, even though I was late, but I was just like, I'll just get to see her.
That's wonderful.
So, yeah.
Fatima, you're doing a graphic design still?
Yes, ma'am. I'm still doing freelancing. I just designed a magazine for the Madras Club, the Columns magazine. So
Very good.
Yes, so I designed that for them recently.
Yeah.
So I'm doing well.
Fatima is one student who went to Stella after learning from JBAs.
Okay.
And now she's a graphic designer.
Fantastic. We look forward to working with you also, Fatima.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Sure, ma'am.
We had Jayashree joining us. I thought maybe she's also your student, but seems like she's logged off. So
okay.
We can wind it up by you interacting with Sir for another 5 minutes because you've been his ardent student. So anything that you would like to ask him, Teju, he's available with us today.
Yeah, I know he still continues to give us so much of positive energy. And sir, I would say that what journey has begun with you and with Ms. Chandra ma'am giving us that, it used to be so funny. What we couldn't see in our work, Chandra ma'am could see. And then finally, and those days we used to think, oh, okay, this is what it is finally, because sometimes, when you're in the beginning stage of your career, you really don't know whether you're moving forward or what. But you need some people with some positive encouragement to tell us, okay, you're on the right path. So as long as that's the beauty of art is there is never the right and the wrong. Your technique and your style, your technique has to be right. The right kind of materials, the way you use your materials have to be right. But that whatever you think of and how you render it should also be right. But what the subject matter is and how it comes out, everything has to be so personal. And I think that way I've been very fortunate. Of course, we've had a lot of arguments, no sir, regarding as to Inna Pandra and all you do is ask, but that was those days. So that way, I think I've been fortunate, to have a family which also was encouraging. And also to have, there's no need for us to think too much about it, whether we're going to be successful or it will come if it is meant to come.
So
that's my experience.
At this stage, after knowing Sir for so long, do you have any questions to ask him?
Regarding about him?
Your art.
My work, that we can talk privately, that we've been thinking of doing it privately. If he's
Oh.
got an opinion, I'm willing to take an opinion. If I'm able to change it, then I will. If I cannot change it, I'll just stick by whatever I can do. But
So
whatever it is, it's important that he,
since you are very
it's-
reluctant now, I'm going to ask Sir. Sir, you have known Tejo for many, many years now, and you've seen her artwork. She has been your student. How would you like to summarize and end this program, sir?
See, Dakshayani,
Yes, sir.
all of us have gone to circuses and all.
Yes.
Those days, not
Yes.
nowadays. Nowadays, even traveling in a, in Chennai, traffic itself is a circus. So,
Yes.
circus, they have that one fellow will be standing on a rope, and there will be a, he will be holding a
That balancing.
one plank with the two rollers, and somebody will be on it. And that person also is balancing. This person is also balancing. At least 2-3 people are balancing on that fellow. He is again anyway balancing himself. So that has been my teaching of art.
Ah,
I am already always balancing. I'm trying to, find a center. And what do you think of me talking about my students or whom I am mentoring, balancing? It has become that we got used to it and we are constantly balancing. That's all.
fantastic. Yeah.
So
It's an ongoing journey.
it's an ongoing journey. You don't arrive at anything.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you did the journey. That's what it is.
Fantastic. Yeah.
The marathon run where you don't stop.
Stop,
Keep-
correct.
So I think this is the message for all the students who have gathered and all the people who are going to watch. We are live streaming it on Facebook too. The message to take away. It's an ongoing journey and you're constantly evolving. And when you keep your mind open, your art finds its form. I think we often heard Teju say that the art led her. Sometimes she has also not. Yes, sir.
One thing I wanted to tell Dakshayani.
Yes, sir.
See, an artist like, say, for example, me, yourself, Tejo, all those people watching this, all of them are artists anyway. And when they are painting, what they do to their painting, they know. What the painting does to them, they should realize.
Ah,
It is very important that an artist realizes what his or her painting has done to that person.
fantastic.
Because it will do, see, it's very strange when you take some 2 months, 3 months, and then of course that is a working time. And before that, so many years of your experiences and your emotional, life or whatever you call, bringing down to making a painting on a canvas.
Yes.
That is, you are recording a sort of, I won't know whether I should call it as a history, but you can call it as a, in Tamil, there is a word called anubhavam. In English, what do you say?
Experience, sir.
Experience, you can say, yeah. But when you-
Exposure, experience.
When you record that, that is the past that you are recording.
Mm.
Then the person who is seeing that painting then and there, that was the first time, say, he is recording, he is going to be carrying it into his future.
Fantastic.
So that is the thing that is very, very interesting as far as art is concerned. Because any visual art, what I mean is visual art, because any person singing on a stage and all, you listen to it and enjoy, and then maybe you may forget, but you may remember the name, the way that person sings and all. But this artwork is going to hang on the wall, and you will keep on looking at it, and then you keep on enjoying that presence of the artwork. It's called presence. It's always, there is no past or future, it's only presence.
Very, very well. You have concised
Summed it
the
up,
whole
isn't
thing. Yeah, summed it up, sir. Where the artist draws inspiration from the past and present scenario, and the viewer takes that present and there is a future to it. So very well said. And I think all the viewers here today would have enjoyed listening to Tejo, who spoke in very simple language. I think all aspiring artists can take a leaf or two from the way she has constantly been on it, whether she has taken a job or whether she has had her responsibilities with the family. But whatever time she has found, she has today, with her persistence in not giving up at all and continuing with her journey, she is where she is today. And we wish you all the very best, Teju.
Thank you
And
so
with this
much.
quality time, yes, we look forward to a ongoing journey with Art Cube Gallery, and also individually, we encourage you to have your solo shows now that you have the quality time. Wishing you the very best.
Thank you. Thank you.
I take this opportunity to not only thank Teju for accepting to be on our talk show Reflections, and even the title Making of an Artist, which he wonderfully presented the content. And I thank A.V. Ilango sir. He has taken his time off. It must be mid 10:30 now, and in Malaysia. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us and joining in the conversation. And thanks to Priya, who is in behind the scenes. She has held the entire show together. And Aishna, always a great tech support to Art Cube Gallery. Thank you, Aishna. Thank you all. Until we meet again in the next show on Reflections, this is bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tejo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to girls who have joined. Sweet of you all.
Yeah. Priya, you can switch off the recording. Yes. Yeah. Now we can talk.
Thanks, Usha.